to Just Us Thinking. I am your host, Michael.
And I'm your co-host, Rebecca.
And I'm your sound expert, Mikey.
And we have a show today. We have electric vehicles versus hybrids.
Correct. And do you have a random news story?
I have the random news story today.
You do? Okay.
Yeah,
this could be interesting.
Change things up. Well, no, your brother's in town.
Right.
And we did just do the episode with him, the NASA episode.
Correct.
One of my favorites, still top of the line there.
Okay.
We also went to the zoo with him.
We did, yeah.
So we walked around the zoo. The Henry Dorley Zoo here is it Dorley?
Henry Dorley, yes.
Okay, Henry Dorley. I always mess that last name up. I love our zoo. Our zoo has a lot of good features, so it's great.
Yeah. There was a lot of updates that we hadn't seen in years. So
yeah, we haven't been for a while, expect pre-pandemic. So
yeah, that's right.
A lot of changes they've made. So now I will warn everybody who's listening: if you hear any kind of construction noise in the background, my office and new podcast studios is currently being built as we speak. Yep. We have a Bellevue fireman that's out there building it, so we'll tell you how he does here. But no, my news story is related to zoo. Okay. So it is a Chinese zoo. So their statement that they post here is, "Our bears are real," a Chinese zoo says, denying that they're humans in disguise. Did you hear about that?
I think I did, yeah.
So one of the bears, I guess, stood up and it had some wrinkles in the back.
Yeah.
And someone said, they took a picture of it and said, "That's obviously a guy in a bear suit." Well, here's the thing. Bears have wrinkles just like humans do. Yeah. So when they stand up in a weird, position, they're going to have, different, marks on them, and they're going to have, it's going to look like their skin rolls together.
Yeah, you're going to see their love handles, basically.
I mean, even the people with the flattest chest, when they sit upright or they lean back, you get that, that lean look in the stomach. Yeah. But even those six-pack, if they kind of lean forward or they, bend down and touch their toes, you're going to look like you have fat rolls there. I mean, I hate to say it, but, even though they don't, it's going to have a little bit of fat on them. So, yeah, so apparently bears are not bears. They're in people suits and in suits. So they're denying it. They're saying that's not true. I saw the picture. Yeah. It looked like a bear to me. So
I don't understand where people come up with half the stuff that they come up with nowadays. Really, you're...
Now, if the Chinese zoo said, "Nope, that's a real Bigfoot," I might call BS on that. Yeah. But no, I don't know. That's... And I want to say I'm trying to see what bear, it was a sun bear. And they're smaller bears is what it is, so...
Yeah, I mean, a bear is not going to have a six-pack. Sorry. What do you expect?
Well, and are the bears, the bear cubs, are those kids in costume? Yeah. Well-trained kids, I tell you what. Them Chinese really know how to control and train them children, don't they? Yeah. Put a bit of bear costume. Mikey, you're pretty tall. I think we might get you in a Sasquatch outfit, get some pictures, and we could prove the existence of Sasquatch.
Yeah, there we go.
Let's, no.
No?
No.
So, no, that's my news story. I thought that was kind of funny, especially on the back of going to the zoo here.
Yeah, because we were just talking about that too, weren't we?
Yeah, we were.
Yeah, okay.
I think I said something to your sister-in-law, Lisa, about that, and all our animals looked real. Yeah. 100% authentic. I mean, I didn't see any zippers or anything on any of the animals. Yeah. Did you? No. I mean, I was looking, don't get me wrong. I was curious at that point. I'm like,
Well, the dinosaurs at the safari park might have been a little questionable.
Yeah, if they
Yeah.
they moved on their own.
They did.
They were repairing the one that had like a hole in the styrofoam there a little bit.
Yeah, in the neck area.
Yeah, it moved, so I think it split and sun. So yeah, the dinosaurs at the what was that we were at?
I think it's the Lee Simmons Wildlife Safari.
Okay, so the dinosaurs in that are not real.
Not real.
All the other animals are.
Yeah.
So just a caveat: the dinosaurs there are not real. I was a little disappointed going in there because I expected the big Jurassic Park gate.
Yeah, that would have been kind of cool.
Yeah, that would have made that experience a little better, but it's still, I mean, we got pretty close to Buffalo.
We did, yeah.
So.
You did?
Oh, yeah.
Why didn't I go to this?
You were in school.
I know, but y'all couldn't have waited for me?
Life doesn't wait, kid. You're going to have to learn that. Life goes on. Whether you want to participate or not, life trucks forward. Time doesn't just stop when you do something. Our life, we don't turn off when you go to school. We continue with our lives.
If you really want to go, we'll take you on a weekend, but we'll hide you in the trunk.
Right.
And you can come up once we get in the gates.
Yeah, it charges per person. So.
Yeah.
No, all right. So. No, that's our news story, but let's go back to our electric vehicles versus the hybrids. So now I believe you had the Motor Trend's top hybrids and EVs, right?
Correct, yeah.
So electric vehicles we're also going to refer to as EVs.
Okay.
Okay, so.
Yeah, it looks like on this list there were actually a lot of Toyotas and Kias. I would say Honda came in. There was some Hyundais. I'm not sure if I pronounced that right.
So go down the list. What's the first vehicle you had?
So the best compact
vehicle?
Yeah.
They have combat electric vehicles?
They do.
I might be sold now.
There you go.
Changing one word to combat, I'm in.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. Compact hybrid is a Toyota RAV4.
Oh, you were doing hybrids first?
Yeah,
okay.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. I didn't know where we were starting.
So yeah, the Toyota RAV4. And number 2 is a Kia Sportage. Okay. And then number 3 is the Honda CR-V.
Okay, so those are all the smaller SUV style.
Correct, yeah. I would say a Toyota RAV4 is probably comparable to my Ford Escape.
Right, yeah.
I didn't see those on the list because I think those are hybrids. The Ford Escapes are hybrids.
Yours isn't.
Mine isn't, but Ford makes the hybrid Escapes.
I don't know.
No, they do.
You're telling me what they make?
I'm telling you, yes, they make them.
Really?
They're on my list. So yeah, I would say I saw Toyota in that list pretty, pretty consistently.
Okay.
Like their third row hybrid, the Highlander is on there too.
So the Highlander would be comparable to the Ford Explorer.
Correct. Yep.
Because that has a third seating as
third
well.
Row. Yep.
Do you have that on your list?
Yeah, that's on the list.
Okay.
It's for the best three row hybrids. It's the number 1 is the Toyota Highlander. Number 2 is the Kia Sorento, and then number 3 is the Ford Explorer.
Oh, okay.
So.
And then they have trucks as well.
They do not have trucks on here, honest.
Because I want to say the Ford Maverick, we were thinking about that because that seemed pretty nice. It reminded me of an old Ranger, a little smaller than the F-150s, but we looked at that. I looked at that a couple times. Still seemed pretty roomy and still spacious and a lot better gas miles than the F-150s.
Oh, yeah.
I think I had the hybrid on there, so.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it looks like the Toyota, Kia were up there a lot. Jeep had 1 or 2 on there. Ford had a couple on there. Lincoln had a couple. BMW, Lexus.
So everybody's making them now.
Yeah.
And these are the hybrids.
Correct. These are the hybrids.
Everybody's making hybrids.
Yeah.
Now, Tesla doesn't do hybrids. Tesla, I think, is strictly electric vehicles. Yep. Okay. Mm-hmm. That's why you're not hearing anything. People are going to be listening like, we're talking about, the top vehicles, and they're like, why did they mention Tesla? Well, they don't have hybrids. Now, if you go to the electric vehicle list, I'm going to gather we're going to hear a little bit about Tesla on there. They're going to have to be on the list, I would assume.
You're going to hear a little bit? I think you're going to hear a lot about them.
Well, I want to say that's their main business model, so yeah.
Yeah. So the best electric cars are the Chevy Bolt.
Whoa. That I just want to make sure that's the one that was in danger of catching fire all the time, right?
I'm not sure.
I think the Chevy Bolt's the one that was the problem. So, okay, best keep going. Chevy
and then
Bolt.
we have a Kia Niro.
I've never heard of that.
A Nissan Leaf.
A Nissan Leaf?
Yeah. Mustang Mach-E is on the SUV list, number 3 on the SUV list. Number 2 on the SUV list is a Kia EV6. And then number 1 is a Hyundai Ioniq, number 5. Okay, so Tesla would be in the luxury vehicle category.
I could see that.
Oh, we're fancy now.
Yeah, they're the fancy cars. So number 1 would be a Tesla Model 3. Number 2 is a BMW i4. And then number 3 is a Polestar number 2.
I've heard of Pulsar. They're new.
They are? Oh, yeah. Okay. And then you have... There's some by Lucid. There's a Lucid Air. And then you have a Genesis G80. Looks like Genesis has a couple different models. And, of course, so does Tesla.
Right.
Volvo's up there.
Volvo?
Yeah.
You say Volvo?
Volvo.
Volvo?
How do you pronounce it?
Volvo.
Volvo.
We're not saying the same word.
You're putting an A in it. He's putting an O.
Volvo.
Volvo. Not Volvo. Not Valvo.
I'm not saying Val. I'm saying Volvo.
Mikey.
It's... How do you say it? It's Volvo?
You screwed him up. A Volvo.
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 Yeah, where are you getting the A from?
Where are you getting the A from?
You're sounding an A.
You're sounding the A.
No, I'm not. I'm saying Volvo.
You are now. Oh my goodness.
She's screwing with us.
You're going to listen when this episode goes live. You will listen to this and you're going to hear the difference.
Okay.
All
right. I guess Cadillac also has a couple. Jaguar.
What?
I know I totally messed with that one up.
What did you say?
How do you... Jaguar?
It's Jaguar.
Jaguar. Okay.
Not Jaguar. What is...
Jaguar. Excuse me. I saw your Panthers, but where do you keep your Jaguars? Oh my goodness.
GMC actually has a Hummer EV as well. That's kind of scary though.
It's not a true military Hummer, I'm telling you that.
Well,
now.
yeah.
I don't know if I take that into combat. All right, let's go. We're out of battery.
We missed the charging station back there.
Mainly because they were firing at us, but Oh my goodness. We derailed real quick on this.
We did, yeah.
We really did.
Goodness. So it sounds like everybody's making hybrids and EVs.
Yeah. I didn't see any Chevy hybrids, though, on the lists.
Well, and I think that's what we're going to talk about. So that's kind of the point of the show here a little bit with me, is it's hybrid versus electric vehicles.
Right.
And I think my point is I think we're skipping a step through the process here.
Okay.
So, and we'll go through that more as we go through. Now, you actually have a direct comparison with some of these vehicles, modeled, not model to model, of course. Now, where do they come with a leaf?
I don't know.
I want to know how some of these companies get their names.
Well, so most vehicles are named after, a lot of them are going after like animals or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you take like the Ford Mustang,
it's a horse.
Right. The Explorer is a little bit different, but Explorer Expedition is like a search kind of deal. You kind of see where they're going with that. It's an SUV. You can go off road exploring. I can see that. Then you have what else? What other you have for the Ford Bronco? Mm-hmm. So that you have different there, and then what are like a Corolla? I know the
Corolla is a sedan.
Right.
Yeah.
But I guess I don't know what a Corolla is either, but it's been around so long. Like Ford had a Pinto. It's a horse,
Oh, okay.
Oh, when I hear Pinto, I think of Pinto Bean, but okay.
No, it's not me. Well, now they might come back with a Pinto and mean Pinto beans, because now they're coming out with leaves.
Yeah.
Are we going to have a pea pod model here coming out? I don't know.
Let's hope not.
Well, some of the names are starting to get out there. And I noticed that if it's an EV vehicle, they say it's an EV6 or EV. They lost their creativity there.
Yeah.
So, what's the comparison you have here?
Okay. So, the one that we're going to have is a Toyota RAV4 hybrid.
Okay, and that's versus what?
Versus the Toyota BZ4X.
Yeah, see, you just put letters together.
I know, like...
I think they just left their cat walk on their keyboard for that one.
Right.
Very well could be. Okay, so let's kind of break it down. So they're both a Toyota model.
Correct.
So what's the mileage?
The mileage for a hybrid is going to be 41 city, 38 highway.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah. And then for the BZ4X, they have a 252 mile range.
Okay, that's actually a pretty good range for an EV.
Yeah, that's actually yeah, I think that's about standard.
I think that's standard or a little bit. So they are moving up. Okay.
Correct.
Now the price.
So for the RAV4, the MSRP starts at $225. Or no, I'm sorry, $31,225.
Okay, so that's the RAV4.
That's the RAV4.
31,225.
225.
So 31,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then for the BZ4X, their starting price is $42,000.
So
roughly 11,000.
11,000 more.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we'll also cover, the extra costs that go with
right. No, I'm just talking about the vehicle for right now. Let's just go over the vehicle.
Okay.
So that's so if you going from hybrid to a full electric is more expensive.
Yeah. I mean.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a lot more that goes on with that, so yeah, it's going to be more expensive.
Okay. What's the next one you have list for the comparison?
The next one we have a Ford Escape hybrid versus the Ford Lightning. And that's kind of hard to compare because they're an SUV versus a truck. But Ford didn't have an SUV EV. They only have the hybrid.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
They didn't have an electric vehicle for a...
Well, I guess the Mach-E, that's a compact SUV.
Well, that's an SUV. That would be more comparable than the F-150.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, Ford Escape Hybrid gets 42 miles city and then 36 miles highway.
Okay, say that again.
42 city.
42 city.
36 highway.
That's not bad either, is it?
No, I mean, that's right up there with the RAV4.
Okay, and what's the price for that?
That starts off at $33,340.
Okay, so, and I just pulled up the Mach-E.
Okay.
So this is the 2023 Ford Mustang Mach-E.
Okay.
It seats 5.
Oh, okay.
The starting price on that is $42,995.
Oh wow!
So what's the price difference there?
Roughly, or about 10,000.
So about 10,000.
Yeah.
Now here's where the difference is. The mileage on the Mach-E are 321 miles.
Oh wow!
So they're starting to go up there.
Yeah. Well, because the Ford Lightning is only 240.
Well, that's also a truck.
So yeah, it's the bigger vehicle, less miles.
Well, and I think that's kind of the problem with a lot of these electric vehicles is if you want to get the extended range, it's going to cost you in, space in the vehicle and towing capacity, things like that.
Yeah.
So, you got to take that into consideration as well. Mm-hmm. So, and then what else you got?
So the other one, because I also like Honda, so they have which is going to be, and this is comparable to the Escape, which is the Honda CR-V hybrid.
Okay.
They get 43 city, 36 highway. So that's
still pretty good.
Yeah. And then their starting price is $33,650.
33,000. Okay. So it sounds like the hybrids are right around the $30,000 to $35,000 range for a standard.
Yeah.
Now, if you get bells and whistles and things like that, I'm sure they're going to go up.
Yeah.
If you want to spend more money, you definitely can.
You can, yeah.
No dealership is going to say, no, we don't want your money.
Yeah. Now, interesting, I found that Honda doesn't actually have a EV vehicle coming out until 2024.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
okay.
Which is the Honda Prologue.
Okay.
So they're saying that it should be between 200 and 270 miles.
Okay.
And then their starting price would be $45,000.
Again, it sounds like the EVs are anywhere from 41, 42,000 up to like 50, 55.
Correct. Yep.
Okay. So right off the bat, that tells you that the electric vehicles are going to run you a bit more out of pocket. Okay.
Yes, they are.
All right. So that's kind of cool the way you could kind of see the numbers are.
The numbers, yeah.
So now let's go into electrical infrastructure on some of these.
Yeah.
So now you did a lot of research on this one, I know.
I did, yeah.
So now you take the price that we just talked about, right? Mm-hmm. Now there are added prices for. Now you also have hybrid plugins, which you could plug into, and that it's kind of moving a little bit more into EVs, but they plug in, you use your power first, and go from there.
Right.
So we're not going to cover a lot of those vehicles. Those are kind of a hybrid kind of deal. So no, but the electrical infrastructure. What did you find out? Because your story said it too.
And the story said about the cost for a charging station at home or at your work can cost anywhere up to $10,000 to $15,000 to get those installed.
Holy cow! So even on the low end, you're talking $10,000.
Yeah.
So.
And that depends on what type of home you have too. If you have an older home that doesn't quite have, the newer electrical systems, it could cost you more than, say, a newer home that probably has better electrical wiring and stuff like that. So,
can you imagine getting this vehicle home and going, I just spent a lot of money on this. I'm going to help.
I'm going to help the environment.
I'm going to help the environment. This is going to be great. And then you go to get the box, which is another $10,000, and your electrical person comes in and says, because codes have changed, your box won't handle this. We need to upgrade your electrical box. We need to do this, do that. You're talking upgrading electrical could be, another $10,000 to $100,000 on a home that is not worth it.
Right. Like you see some of these homes, like, for example, South Omaha or something like those are going to be your older houses, like built in the 1950s. Those are going to take a lot more, electrical upgrades than your homes that were built even in the early 2000s.
Right.
And even some of the hotels, even some of the houses built in the early 2000s may not have a better electrical system than these houses built in the 2020s.
Well, and we're experiencing that. We know that firsthand because our garages run on a lower amp than is what is now run in houses.
Right.
So we're in the process of upgrading our garage to be the higher amperage so I could run some of my power tools out there so I don't keep flipping breakers out there, right?
Yeah.
So we're understanding that firsthand. That can get expensive.
It can. And
Holy
then
cow.
There's, different levels of chargers. There's like level 1, level 2, level 3. I think there's like at least 4 levels of
What are the levels?
There's 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Well, I know, but those are numbers, so...
It's going to be your voltage. Like your level 2 is going to be a 240 voltage.
Okay, so that's basically what your washing machine, or if you have a hot tub, that's what those run off of.
And then a level 3 is going to be at least a 480 voltage.
Holy cow, that's using a lot of power.
Yeah. That's going to be the fastest way to charge your vehicle. So that's...
Well,
and
that
you're
makes
going to
sense.
pay more for it, too. So
Right. So, and we're in the process of deciding on a hot tub, and our choice is a plug-and-play, which is a 110, or getting one that's 240. And everything that I've seen is a 110 is great. It does take twice as long to heat up as a 240, which makes sense.
Right.
Okay. And there's also, you lose a little features with it. So sometimes the 110 can heat it, but it might not be able to operate all the pumps at the same time.
Yeah.
The 240, you get a lot more power. So I can totally understand that.
Yeah.
So the more power, but I mean, that's a lot of juice, isn't it?
That's a lot of juice. And you're probably not going to most people aren't probably going to have those level 3 in their homes. Those are going to be like at your, because we saw one at that parking garage the other day, or parking lot the other day. They had those. So I'm assuming those would probably be your level 3 or 4 chargers.
Oh, okay. I see that. Well, now I have an interesting question. We have a few friends, and it's just a few. What about people who live in apartment living? What do they do? I mean, if you're assigned a parking spot, so you'll have to go to the apartment complex and say, yeah, I'd like an EV. I'm sure you're going to have to pay for it.
Yeah.
They're going to probably charge you out the wang to do it. It's not going to get done right away. And then what happens now they can't reassign that parking spot. So, it kind of makes a problem there, doesn't it?
Yeah.
If you're in an apartment, you sign a 2-year lease, okay? Most leases are about a year, but I mean, with that, I would say if I was an apartment person, I'd say I need at least a 2-year if I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
So you sign a 2-year lease, and then they move out, and then you have another tenant that moves in. Well, now that parking spot can't go to that apartment anymore if that person doesn't have an electric vehicle. And if someone else comes in afterwards and say, well, yeah, about an electric vehicle, I see you have a spot there. Are they going to charge that person more money to use that spot?
They might, yeah. I mean, I would think they would, since it cost them more to install that.
Well, it's already installed. The person before paid for it.
Yeah, that's true.
But now it's an amenity there, so I think it could get complicated, can't it?
I would think so, yeah. It could get very complicated. So,
and if you're a renter in a house, and then you move, I mean, you just rip that out and take it with you, or?
Yeah, I don't know how that would work.
See, I have more questions than I have answers for that.
And I think most people, though, like renting apartments, like your average person is probably not going to be able to afford an EV.
But you want to save the environment.
Yeah, but you probably can't afford it if you're living in an apartment.
Well, I don't know. I know people that can afford it. They'll live in an apartment because they move around so much that put any contractor out there. They make a lot of money. They live in an apartment because they don't want the maintenance of the house.
Yeah.
They don't want to have to. I'm not home enough to mow the lawn every time.
Yeah, that's true.
I there's a lot of perks for living in an apartment. I don't think the EV path is really good for that yet. The infrastructure's not there yet.
Yeah. Our infrastructure is definitely not there yet.
Well, and I think you covered in the story as well, where that guy had to drop off his EV vehicle.
Yeah, he had to drop it off at a Ford dealership, and I can't remember if he had to either rent a new vehicle or I think he just had to rent a new vehicle from that dealership to continue on to his trip.
Okay. Because
he couldn't find enough charging stations where he was traveling through to charge his vehicle.
Well, and I think that's my comparison would be the railroad. So when we wanted trains to go from one side of the country to the other, we had to lay tracks. We had to put the infrastructure in and then move it out there.
Right.
Same thing with power. When you're building houses and things like that, you got to get all the power, all those lines run in there and figure out where they all need to go. Then you can start building and start building the houses around it. You can't build the house and then run all the power and say, oh, oops, we kind of put this house in the way.
Yeah.
You couldn't. You don't get a train halfway across the United States and say, we'll just keep going. Maybe we could make it even though there's no tracks.
Yeah.
You have to have the charging stations. You have to have all that in there.
Yeah. And I mean, you think for a lot of these places like the truck stops and stuff and gas stations along the interstates, I mean, they could probably afford it, but these smaller towns that people may be traveling through probably can't afford it.
Well, let's put it in perspective here. So electric vehicles are new.
Mm-hmm.
When you go into one of these towns, if you go through a town where they don't have electric vehicles, they don't have any of that. Everybody's using diesel or gas,
mm-hmm.
and they're a small town. I've been to these small towns where they've had 2 pumps.
Yeah.
There's 2 pumps. They have diesel and then regular gas,
mm-hmm.
and it's a small little podunk town.
Yeah.
They don't have, why would they spend 15, well, I'm sure the class 3 is going to be more expensive. Even charging, fast charging is still going to be, you're talking hours, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. You're talking, because in the story, the guy, it took 2 hours to charge it to 90%.
Okay.
So
we're talking 2 hours.
So that just increases your travel time too, you've got to take into account your travel time, your charging time.
Right, but what I'm saying is this podunk gas station might not want to spend $25,000 to put in an EV station that may never actually get used.
Yeah.
I have to look at it as a cost effective. Now, if I had 15 EVs that are coming through a day, that might be worth it.
Mm-hmm.
But and then I'm going to put it up for one possible person that might pass through town.
Yeah.
And then, let's be honest, I've got to deal with this guy for 2 hours.
Yeah. There's only, so much you can browse through that little convenience store for 2 hours.
Now, if there's a restaurant there, yeah, that might be a good selling point because, they come through an EV, with an electric vehicle, they're going to be stuck there for a while. So,
yeah. Eat and charge.
Eat and charge, yeah.
Yeah.
But I still can't even imagine sitting in a restaurant eating for 2 hours.
No. Maybe an hour at most, but not 2.
No, we travel a lot. Mm-hmm. We do. We travel. We just stop at the gas station. It's you go to the bathroom, grab some snack foods, grab a pop, grab something while you're filling up the vehicle, and you're in and out of there in maybe 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. For me, it just wouldn't be worth it, and
so now we've gone to Pueblo, right? That's where
mm-hmm.
Susie lives.
Right.
And Susie listens to the show.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll go out there and it takes 9 hours to drive out there?
Yeah.
So I would think to go out there, we would have to charge probably 3 or 4 times.
Yeah. And that could make it into a 20-hour trip, probably,
Well, yeah, so now you got 9 hours. Normally it takes us about 9 hours to get there.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're going to add 4 stops of 2 hours each.
Yeah.
So now you're going to add an extra 8 hours on there.
Mm-hmm.
So, now we're at 17 hours.
Yeah.
You can't get there, we can't leave here in the morning and get there in the evening like we were.
Right.
So that, to me, that's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to buy an electric vehicle only to have to rent another vehicle or get another source of a vehicle every time I want to go to vacation to go visit Susie or, go visit, your family in Kentucky or Arkansas or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Arkansas is the same way. It took us about 9 hours to get down there.
Mm-hmm.
You're doubling the trip. We're going to have to rest somewhere.
Yeah. And you're going to have to rest for a while. So,
right.
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay. So traveling, it's not looking good for the EVs.
Correct.
So, but hybrids are looking pretty good there. You run out of the electric power, even in the plug-ins.
Mm-hmm.
You're back on gas and you're ready to go.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
So I guess another part of the problem that the guy ran into was at the smaller charging stations, the chargers didn't work.
It's electrical, and so things happen.
So,
and the more you use electrical and plug in and out,
mm-hmm.
you're going to wear things. Those plugs. I mean, every time we unplug and plug our charger, we've worn out plugs doing that too.
Yeah, and the cords
and the cords and stuff like that. Now we were reading that those cords. How much were those cords, Mikey?
Like what? Almost $3,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So people are stealing those cords.
Yeah.
So those cords, if someone steals your cord to plug in your vehicle, that's $3,000.
That's a lot of money to replace a cord.
That's expensive.
Yeah. And, people are, unfortunately, criminals are smart. They're going to...
Well, that's debatable, but I'll keep going.
Well, if someone gets their charging cord, stolen or whatever, you have to replace it.
Yep.
It's like catalytic converters. You have to get it replaced. They're going to come hit you again.
Right.
So then you're going to have to pay to have it replaced again. And
that probably is true. Here's the thing: those cords will wear out.
Yeah.
They're not. You don't buy a cord and that's going to be perfect.
Yeah.
Anybody who's bought an extension cord knows that.
Yeah. Hopefully you get a little bit smarter after the first one's stolen and you secure it a little bit better. But
if padlocks and stuff like that, but bolt cutters and you're good to go. I mean,
exactly.
Unfortunately, you have that. That's $3,000 that are sitting out there. And I watched a couple of videos. It takes no time to steal it. So that's kind of crazy that's the deal there. And I think there's no standard plug for it.
Yeah, I mean, what I read also is each manufacturer has, I know Tesla has a different type of plug versus a Kia or a Toyota or even a Ford.
Right.
So then, part of the problem is you have to get converters for those.
Right.
And those are eventually going to wear out.
Right.
I'm sure they might not cost $3,000, but they're still going to wear out over time.
Right.
So.
No, I can understand that too.
Yeah.
So the problem that you have with those standard plugs is they're an adapter to it, which can lead us into our next problem with the hazards that we have.
Mm-hmm.
So with lithium-ion batteries, they get hot, and man, when they go, they go.
They go quickly too.
So even the fire departments, are saying, make sure you're using the approved stuff on there.
Yeah.
Well, some of the approved stuff are so expensive. Like if I went to Samsung and bought a charger for my phone, rather than the universal one down at Big Lots,
mm-hmm.
I'm going to pay a lot more for it.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I'm out so much money already. I'm going to try and save costs a little bit, right?
Right.
So I'm going to get one that will work, but that can cause a hazard to it, right?
Yeah. I mean, I guess one of the big things that people don't realize is how, if you're in an accident, that battery is going to go boom a lot quicker.
Well, yeah. So there are certain things with gas engines we've learned where to put a gas tank, where to do that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Now, the problem with it is these battery packs, if they get compromised, and most likely they're going to get compromised in an accident, there is a greater chance that electric vehicle will catch on fire than any of your other vehicles.
Right.
So your gas vehicle, you would think that would be able to be the opposite, wouldn't it? Gas is a combustible fuel. When it gets in an accident, but no, we have safety features because we've been doing it so long. Mm-hmm. These electric vehicles, and I think the one video we watched of the fire chief, they make these batteries, in a compartment that's really they don't want moisture or anything to get in there.
Yeah.
Which is correct. The problem is when it catches on fire, you need to get water. They need to put water on there. And I think, Mikey, we went through, how much water did it take for an electric vehicle?
20,000 to 40,000 gallons of water.
And for a regular vehicle, for a gas vehicle?
500 to 1,000.
That's a huge difference. Yeah. Now, you're no longer saving the environment. You're draining a lake.
Yeah. Yeah. And, we not only that, but, a lot of parking garages that are 2 or 3 levels won't allow you to pull in there.
Well, you can't get a fire truck in there first and foremost. Those are cramped areas.
Yeah.
And we watched a couple of videos of the batteries exploding, right? And catching fire and catching the nearby cars on fire, right?
Exactly. And can you imagine how quickly that would spread?
Oh, yeah. Can you imagine a parking garage? You have an electric vehicle that you park next to someone. I mean, what happens when I park and then I go in there, I go shopping, and then I'm coming out, with whatever I bought there, and because some guy that parked an electric vehicle next to us and they overheated, caught fire and burned my car down.
Yeah.
And then the car next to him, that car. Now I'm subject to penalties for that.
Right.
I'm hoping their insurance will cover it. But then now I got to go through the insurance. Now I'm like, how do I get home? Now it's there's a lot of issues that happen when you have an accident like that.
Yeah. We didn't even look at insurance costs for EVs.
Well, I'm going to gather if that's the case, that might be something we,
hit on in the future. Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of crazy. So I guess, that's a lot of water. So.
Yeah, and the thing I noticed about the parking lot that we were in the other day, they had it, but the EV stations were in the corner, and they were
away from all other vehicles.
Away from all the other vehicles, and it was an open lot, so there wasn't it wasn't a 2-story lot.
Oh yeah, okay.
I think the lot went down, but it didn't go up.
Right.
So
so they have to, that's one thing they have to think about is the placement for that. Mm-hmm. And like I said, every time I've seen those EV stations now, they are now moving those away from other vehicles. Yeah. So that would go back to my apartment living too. Mm-hmm. So if I go back to apartment living, if I see an EV parked next to me, what if I know there's an increased fire risk? I don't want to chance that. I go to the apartment complex, say I'm not comfortable parking next to an electric vehicle because there's a chance it'll catch fire, and I don't want my vehicle to burn down. Well,
and the apartment complex could go as far as they don't want them there because they don't want the apartment buildings to catch on fire.
Because that might be a risk for them. So they might have to say, sorry, we can't do that here because it's a fire hazard, right?
Right. I mean, because a lot of the apartment complexes, they don't allow certain types of grills because of the fire risk.
Oh, yeah, that is true. So,
I wonder if they even have them.
California is going all electric, so I wonder how that's going to play into there.
Yeah.
They may have to have them. They may have to. It may cause some redesigns for parking lots and stuff for that too.
I still can't believe they're doing that.
Well, it's the lithium-ion batteries. That's what's the problem. Now, Mikey, you looked up a lithium-ion mine.
Yes, I did.
So what did you think? Now, we looked up the oil rigs and we looked up the lithium-ion mines. What did you think?
You know, I think when we dig for lithium ions, I think that is not good for the earth.
So what did you see? I mean, you explained it. You looked at the pictures.
When I saw it, it was a giant hole in the earth, and it looked like it had like layers on it.
Different layers.
So it has different layers. What that is so when you dig down, they have the trucks that go down there. So what you're seeing those tiers are the roads that are going up.
Oh.
You see what I'm saying? So
okay.
They need, the trucks need to get in there and get them pulled out because these mines are so huge. And I'm talking huge. Like, I'm not talking like, some of them can span, 1 mile to 5 miles wide.
Oh my!
So they're not some small. Now I know, Rebecca, you were looking up on the lithium-ion mines as well, right?
Right.
What did you find out?
Well, I found out that we only have one that is operational in the U.S., which is in Nevada.
Okay.
We have one operational rare earth element mine in California. So, I mean...
really only one lithium mine in the U.S.
Yeah. So that's just another thing that we're dependent on another country for.
Well, yeah. So,
so
in order to get the lithium ion, I'm going to tell you right now, if our push is to go to electric vehicles, one lithium ion mine is probably not going to do it.
And you know what was kind of interesting is that the country of Chile holds the world's largest lithium reserve.
Okay.
Yeah, followed by, I think it was Australia.
So I could assume so it's a fuel source, right? So that's why the Middle East is constantly being fought over because it has oil. Mm-hmm. I hate to say it, but that's why Ukraine is getting fought over as well because they have a good oil reserve there as well.
Oh, okay.
Some of that, like Chernobyl, is a nuclear power plant that was, up there as well. That's in Ukraine territory now. Mm-hmm. But we fight over the energy source. So Chile, it's coming.
It's coming.
If that's where it's going to go, and you're the largest, I'd put a hush on that real quick.
Yeah.
I don't know. We're going to be dependent on other countries. So all of our money, we're going to be supporting other countries instead of U.S. based.
Yeah.
So it's just, I don't know. Is that saving the environment?
I wouldn't think so, no.
So we're going to buy from another country and then they're going to ship it here.
Yeah.
I know boats aren't electric, right?
Right.
So even to transport that lithium or the product over here, we're still using fossil fuels.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah. I mean, I get where some people, want to help save the environment, but I mean, we're still using, the fossil fuels to transport it, to produce it, to transport it to all the different manufacturers and charging stations.
Okay, so let me ask you this. What are the pros for electric vehicles then?
They say some of the pros are no fuel.
Well, that's a lie because it does take fuel.
Yeah.
It takes electricity, which is on the grid.
Yeah.
Which most of our fuel source is going to be coal or nuclear energy. Mm-hmm. Most of the time, it's going to be coal, though.
Right.
So we're all coal based. So your coal's fossil fuels. That's still the same as gas.
Yeah.
So I understand that you're plugging in and using it as electricity instead of having an internal combustion engine, but the resource still comes from coal.
Yeah.
So that's not really no fuel.
Yeah. And one of the other pros that they say are less maintenance and better performance. So
and I have to question those as well. So let's look at it. Less maintenance. You want maintenance.
Yeah.
I don't care what it is. You have to have maintenance. And maintenance could be just something looking at something.
Right.
Maybe if they did a little more maintenance on these, maybe we'd have less car fires.
Yeah.
So I don't know if saying less maintenance, because that's going to tell people, don't worry about it.
Right.
Well, then if something goes wrong, they didn't catch it in time. That's like a leak in your house. If you get a little small leak in your house, find out where it's going from. Do a little maintenance there to do it. You don't just patch it up and just walk away, because then next thing you know, the whole wall falls out because it's been leaking for 12 years.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So, okay. And then better, what did you say? Better performance?
Better performance, yeah.
Batteries are heavy. I don't think they're there yet. I mean, I get that there's no... I don't know. I mean, I'm on the fence on that one. I'm going to give electric vehicles better performance only because I don't have the research to counteract that argument.
Okay.
So I'm going to give it to them.
That's fair enough.
I will also get them no pollutants.
Right.
To a certain point.
To a certain point, because you're still...
I still look at a lithium-ion mine and think that is not good for the environment.
Right.
And then, I hate to say it, but they have to make the electric parts.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but you're going to take a raw material like lithium. You're going to have to grind it down. That's going to be dust and everything else. If you're saying that there's no pollutant there, that means you could take those batteries once they're done and just throw them in the regular trash and be fine, right?
I probably wouldn't throw the one of those just in the trash.
Well, but then you're polluting, right?
Yeah.
So what happens to those batteries after they're done?
That's a good question.
So I understand there might not be any emissions that are leaked from the vehicle or anything like that. But if that battery breaks open or something happens where it's compromised, isn't that bad for the environment?
You would think so, and maybe...
And then the disposal, or we're going to have like this toxic dump for all these electric vehicle batteries? That doesn't sound good for the environment.
Yeah, because lithium batteries, they have a special way that they have to be recycled. So I'm guessing another good research would be, the how to recycle them.
To me, that sounds like more money.
Yeah.
Hate to say it, but so I think the point I think we're going to get here is I don't think we're ready for electric vehicles.
No.
I think we're skipping the step and missing the hybrids.
Yeah.
I think we need to go with the hybrids. We can still utilize a lot of the electric vehicle features.
Mm-hmm.
We can still utilize maybe half the batteries so we're not wasting so much until we can start getting them refined to get better efficiency out of them and better understanding on, because technology is constantly changing.
Right.
So, as we start exploring to make batteries more efficient, a longer life, something like that, maybe using less of them and still use what already is existing to keep us moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
I really think that's the way we should do it. I think we're missing we're skipping a step. And I think Tesla started with electric vehicles. I get that that's what they did. But some of these other manufacturers that are just trying to skip hybrids and going right into electric vehicles, I think that's a mistake. I think a lot of companies are losing a lot of money on their... I think I heard somewhere Ford was losing like billions.
Yeah, I think they're all.
And they all are.
Yeah.
So it's not just Ford. I'm not going to pick on Ford because all of them are down, including Tesla.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just one company. And the problem is they're expensive. They're dropping the prices. I want to say a lot of these, I think they understood there was going to be a loss. So I think it was kind of, it's not like they said, oh, well, okay, that costs us. I think a lot of these were planned. A lot of them, they knew, well, it takes money to make money.
Yeah,
it
that's
really
true.
Does.
But
so we're going to do this. We're going to lose this amount of money. And then they're like, okay, well, it's worth the cost. Let's try it. Oh. We're hoping that it'll pay out for us. And then when you get to the end of the road, then they have to make a decision. Do we continue down this path and is it going to cost us more money? How much money are we going to lose? Or where do we cut and run?
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that a lot of the companies will start to cut and run from that. And I'm pretty sure California will start backing out of the, all our vehicles have to be electric by this date.
I just don't understand that.
Their grid can't handle what they're having now. They have rolling blackouts.
Yeah.
So, sorry, we need you guys to conserve energy because our power grid can't handle it, but we need to put every vehicle on a power grid.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I can't go to work today because I couldn't charge my vehicle because the power grid won't work.
Right.
That Texas storm that froze their wind energy. A couple of years ago, cut a lot of their power down. They had, all of a sudden they had blackouts.
Yeah.
Extreme heat and extreme cold is not a battery's friend.
It's not.
So you got to take that in consideration on where you live.
Exactly. Yeah. So we'll touch on that later.
I think we will, but I think the point is stop with the electric vehicles, push hybrids, really work hybrids where you could start working an extended battery life with the backup of the gas, so you're utilizing both. And what you do if you want to phase out gas vehicles, you're going to have to do it slowly. It's like smoking. You can't cut cold turkey.
Yeah.
It's just anybody that has smoked a cigarette can tell you the same thing. You don't just decide, I'm just going to put that's why nicotine patches and all these other, all these programs are in there for smokers because it's addictive and it's hard to do. I hate to say it, but we're addicted to the gas engines and it's going to be hard to get off of. It really is.
It is, yeah.
So we're going to have to wean ourselves off it and we're going to have to go slow. Throwing electric vehicles and causing more problems down the road isn't the answer. So, yeah, this is a tough subject. So, I think we have a lot for our after show.
Oh, yeah. We have a lot of stuff that we didn't even think about. So, I'm thinking more in my head more and more as we were talking here.
We're going to save those thought bubbles for the after show.
Okay.
More to come. A lot more to come. A lot more to come, I think.
Okay.
So, if you want to hear more, join us on the after show. For the main show, this is going to be it.
Alrighty, bye everybody.